My name is Magdalena de la Cruz Garcia. I am the founder of Magie Salsa LLC. This is a company that I started with a gift of $800 when I was homeless, and a company that sold a Campbell's soup in 2015.
When I first tasted Magie Salsa, I was blown away. It was awesome product. I could tell it was fresh. I could tell it was made with quality ingredients and knew that it would be a great product for Walmart.
I am from Mexico, and this was life in an orphanage. And yes, these are my 68 brothers and sisters. Ever since I can remember, I mostly worked in construction, digging ditches, cutting trees, and gathering topsoil from the mountains. At times, we had no food for weeks, so some of my brothers and I resorted to hunting with our bare hands. We basically hunted at night using spotlights and nets to catch our prey. When I was about 6 years old, I started digging caves in sides of mountaintop canyons. These were my secret hiding places to rest. This was a way to try to escape, to cope with the things that I saw and lived. As a way out of the orphanage, I pursued basketball and got recruited in high school to play for the Mexican national team, but I broke my collarbone. My ticket out was months later when I got recruited to play basketball for the University of Charleston, and that's how I came here. I learned to play basketball really good by covering my eyes with the help of an orphan kid named Pancho. We found Pancho in a dumpster as a baby. He couldn't walk because he had spinal bifida, and my job was to carry him everywhere I went. When I graduated college, I couldn't find a job and I became homeless. I ended up living in the streets and also in the woods in a nearby forest. But to be honest, I didn't even know that I was homeless because that's how I lived most of my life. In 2004, I started my salsa company with a gift of $800 when my friends entered me into a salsa contest. I won the contest and I had an aha moment. I started my business and it grew very, very fast. My products sold in 38 states to supermarkets like Walmart's, Whole Foods, Sam's Clubs, and many more companies carried my products. Shortly after my company was sold to Campbell's, I went back to Mexico and helped save 31 orphan children who were in grave danger. Some of them were victims of sex trafficking. We later were able to involve the federales and the military in the continuous pursuit of the safety of these kids. The best type of giving currency is not money. It is the willingness to give your life for the service of others. Never take for granted one single moment of your life. Change starts now. It's such a pleasure to be here. I'm so super excited. And there's two reasons why. Two big reasons why. One is because of you guys. Because I attribute my success to the Small Business Administration. It wasn't an easy journey, but because of the Small Business Administration, I've been able to succeed tremendously. And that's actually opened the pathway for my success, and I'll explain why and how. But I actually received an award for the Young Entrepreneur of the Year award in 2009 when my business surpassed $1 million and it grew over 500%. So thank you so much. And that's why I'm here. The other reason I'm super excited to be here is because I just started speaking with Hollywood producers here in California because we're gonna do a blockbuster movie about my story. So that's the number 2. Thank you. So when I started my business, it was not easy. I didn't have any support, and the first thing I thought is I need a loan. So I went out and started calling banks and meeting face to face with them, and they all told me no. And I was so hurt, and I was like, I am never ever gonna do business with you because you hurt my feelings. Never ever. But I said to myself, I'll never ask for a loan unless I can prove to myself that I can be resourceful enough to make it happen. The thing that I didn't understand is that I didn't have anything to show for. I had nothing. I came out of being homeless. Shortly after then, I actually came across the Small Business Administration. And what I learned from them, from you,
is that they open the pathway for resources. And once I knew that there were resources out there, I discovered one simple thing. And that thing was that the greatest resources that you have are not out there, they're within you. The greatest resources that you have are creativity, passion, and sticking to it. Because when you are creative enough, when you're passionate enough, when you stick to it enough, guess what? Nothing can stop you. And you figure out a way to be different than anybody else. And if you can't figure it out, you create it. You know, businesses fail within now 94% of them within 8 to 10 years. So people think that my business failed because I didn't have the right partner, I didn't have the money, I didn't have all these things. But I discovered, thanks to the SBA, to leading me there, that I had everything to make it happen. I started my company. It became such an amazing success, but at first it was really hard because I felt alone. I'm a Latino woman in West Virginia. Nobody believed in the products. Fresh salsa was not known. Everybody was telling me to cook the salsas to be like everybody else. And I was like, no, I'm sticking to fresh salsa because I know that it's a great product. Once people try it, they'll love it. I was in about 6 months into it after I created my business. And I made a list of stores to call, from the largest to the smallest. And I started calling these stores, cold calling. And I got no after no after no, 90 no's. So I decided, okay, I'm gonna stop here. And one of the things that I've learned from this experience is no matter what happens in life, if I get a block, I always change my approach. Just like Edison, right? With the light bulb. He always changed his approach until he got it to light up. So what I did is I put my list down and I waited a day and came back to it and I turned it upside down. Now at the top was the largest supermarket in the United States, natural, fresh. And I called them, the Whole Foods Market, and I said, hey, my name is Maria Magdalena de la Cruz Garcia. I have an awesome pico de gallo salsa that I think you guys would love. Left a message. I was parked in the city center. The next day, it was 6 p.m. and I get a call and the guy says, hey, is this Maggie? And I said, yes. He says, we heard about you. We want to know more about you. This is Whole Foods. Can you come? And I'm like, oh my gosh. And I said, yes, when do you guys meet next? And he says, tomorrow at 9 a.m. Well, they're in Maryland and I'm in West Virginia. And it's quite like 6 or 8 hours, depending on which car you're driving. If it's a truck or a little beater. And so I made it. I went back to the kitchen, made salsa, packed it up and drove. And I walked into this room. It was all men. It was a big room, U table. And the guys started trying the salsa and they were talking amongst each other. And so Eric gets up and he says, this product is so awesome. We want it for our stores. When can we have it? And I was like, oh my gosh. And I was freaking out. And I said, Eric, okay, so how much do you need? And he says, well, your first store is going to be 10,000 pounds of salsa. And I was like, oh my gosh. So I went from making 250 pounds of salsa a week for my friends and selling it for $5 and pretending I was a $1 million person with $1 bills. And I said, well, let me figure it out, go back, and how Americans say, get my ducks in a row before I can ship this product to you. And I went back, and the other thing was, funding. I didn't have any money. It was such a short period of time, and I have to come up with something. So I went to friends, and then I went back to Whole Foods, and I said, if you can give me a contract that says that you pay me in a week, then I can get the money borrowed for the cost of goods to deliver the product for you. So I went back to friends. I showed them I need 20 grand for cost of goods for everything, tomatoes, everything. And I went back and they said yes. So they let me borrow 20 grand within a week, and Whole Foods paid me $40,000 within a week. I gave back the 20, and then it just kept multiplying week after week. Now the interesting thing that happened is once I was in Whole Foods, see, if I would have stopped, if I wouldn't have persevered, see how they say when you stop short of gold, somebody else will get it? I kept pushing and I made it. And now once I was in Whole Foods, then all of a sudden everybody wanted to do business with me. Walmart called me, I didn't call them. Sam's, Costco, so it really, really kind of grew from there. And talk about resourcefulness. My first delivery that I did with Whole Foods. During the week, it was a whole week, I was looking for a truck, I couldn't find a truck. Yes, I got my truck driver's license. And I finally found a truck, and it was the oldest, ugliest, rustiest Mexican truck, worse than a Mexican truck that I've ever seen. There was wires sticking out of the dashboard, the seat wouldn't adjust, it was squeaky when I drove it. And when I had loaded up that truck and I was ready to go to Whole Foods, I started driving off and I realized that there's a lot of hills in West Virginia. There's a hill and there's a stoplight, and I'm the first truck in the hill. I realized, oh my gosh, I can't reach the pedals because my butt was to the back of the seat and I couldn't reach the pedals and I couldn't see the numbers on the things. It was wobbly, the stiff chick. I was a stiff chick. Standard. I couldn't see the numbers and there was cars behind me. Have you ever been in so much agony that you sweat so quickly? That was me. And I was worried that when I started pulling the truck up and it was jerking and I was worried that people would laugh at me, I was like, they can't even see me. You know, have you seen the movie Bridesmaids? They were probably like, hey, who's driving that truck? Because I was so short, you couldn't see me driving that thing. So I finally pulled it out and I said, I was smiling. I said, I'm going to make it. I got to make it. I made it this far. And I pull up the truck and I start walking around. And I said, how am I going to be able to reach? What can I do? And I realized, and I noticed a piece of wood block on the side of the road. And I remember that I had duct taped the right mirror that was falling off. And I ran to the truck and I duct taped the piece of wood block to my foot. And I drove to Maryland like that. Now, the funny thing is that during the trip, I realized that there's a gas leak on the tank, so it was going empty really quick. So I had to park this thing in the gas stations, and you don't park this thing where the cars are. You park this thing where the truckers are. So every time I got out to get gas, which was a lot, this is what I looked like to the truckers. Hey man, how's it going with a piece of wood block? And at a certain point, I just got used to it and owned it, you know? Talk about resourcefulness, willing to do anything, whatever it takes. Another quick story that I'm going to share with you, which in my book, I talk about all these things. I talk about how I turned 14 cents into several $100,000s without having to spend it to grow my business. But quick story also, when I started selling my products to supermarkets, Kroger specifically, they require people to do demos in their stores. And they charge anywhere from $5,000 to $15,000 per demo. I didn't have that money. And they wouldn't let me do grassroots marketing with my people. So I came up with an idea. Went to the store, I bought a bunch of candy, sorted candy from those bags, and I put a piece of candy on each case of product, 6-pack case of product, and sent it out. Weeks later, I get calls from supermarket managers telling me, my team members are fighting to see who can get to open when the product comes, who can get to open your box because they're looking for that piece of candy. I didn't pay brokers, I didn't pay anybody to be in it. So, and the thing is with fresh salsa is if it stays in the refrigerator and nobody pulls it out, then it goes bad and I can't sell the product. So this is the type of thing that I'm telling you with resourcefulness and trying to kind of think outside the box. And I challenge you to think wherever you are in your business, to kind of think, how can I think out of the ordinary to make something really powerful happen that doesn't require much finances or people? What can you do? You know, Mark Twain said that the 2 best days of your life is the day that you were born and the day that you find out why. And the other really powerful thing that I've learned in business is that finding out your why is the key to your success. Because when you know your why you do what you do, then it drives the fire, the passion, the creativity, the sticking to it that you need to make it a success. Because people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. Employees don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. Really true story, quick example. When I started my business and I needed people for the Whole Foods product to make it, I needed about 25 people. So I went to the state and I said, hey, I need people, can you help me? And they said, yes, here's 25 people. And when I met with them, I said to them, my name is Maggie. I gave my background story and I said, I have this awesome product. Whole Foods wants it. And I believe that you guys are going to be the ones that help take my company and make it the largest fresh salsa company in the United States. And I believe that you'll make it a success with me. See what I did? I was marrying them to my why. You see that? And so what happened was we went back to work, and every break that we had, we took a break, but I fed them food, and we always talked about how we could improve production because it was an always constant changing process. And one of those times, everybody went in, and this African-American guy stays behind me with me, and he says, thank you so much for hiring me. Nobody else would hire me. And I said, really, why? And he says, well, I just came out of prison and I did this, this, and that. And I was like, ah, la, 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 la. I don't want to know. I said, listen, you're so awesome. You're a great worker. Let's just go back to work. And so he went back and I called the state and I said, hey, what's up? I said, they sent me all people from work release, came out of prison. But they were the best working people I ever had because I married them into my wife. And that's why I had an excellent culture. And that's how the company was able to grow tremendously. What I did with the orphan kids, the video that you saw, was probably the greatest thing I've ever done in my life, because talk about giving. You can give with money, you can give with resources, but you can also give with time. And that experience was very powerful because I thought that some points of my time there that I was going to die. When you start hearing gunshots and you start seeing things, it really puts life in perspective. And we had the rooms and the kids in a room. It was like a 10 by 20 room, and I slept outside on the concrete floor with my brother. And I had a 38 special handgun, and he had a Mexican shotgun hechiza handmade. And I tied a dog on my waist because I was so tired, and it would move and bark at anything that came. And we were finally able to. There were some break-ins. We were told that 50 people related to the drug cartel were coming in. And we were able to finally get the federales and the military to come in. And that's when I was able to return. But I wanted to mention something really huge and important. This conference, this event is partnered up with CAST. And you know who CAST is? The Coalition to Abolish Slavery and Trafficking. And I'm so deeply touched about that, because I would have been one of these kids. And I really commend you for doing what you do. And because it really does make a difference. And the fact that you partnered with the SBA and my story and where I come from, and it's super amazing. You know, when you die, when you transition, when you pass on, you never get to take anything with you, no matter how much money, how little, how many buildings you have. You only get to take with you what you did to make a difference in other people's lives. And I ask you that you see who they are, what they're about, and really make a difference. Not even this, whatever makes your heart come alive. Make a difference, make a contribution, because that's why we're here. That's why I'm here today with you guys. You know, in this video, I also talked about how I was a hunter. And when I speak, I often bring my original knife that I used to hunt with. I didn't bring it today because I'd be going to prison because I flew here. But I use this knife, I carve my caves with it, and I used to hunt. We used to climb trees and jump out of the trees with nets and spotlights, my brothers and I, to hunt for food, because we would go sometimes after 2 weeks with no food. And I really don't know where I would have been if it wasn't for the Small Business Administration, for the things that have come in my path. I wouldn't be standing here today. I wouldn't be standing here without companies like CAST, for the things that they do. I wouldn't have been able to save those kids, those children. That knife was my resource. I became resourcefulness. You know how they say that when life gives you a lemon, you make lemonade? Well, life gave me a frickin' tomato and I made salsa. Thank you, guys.